Hello, thanks for joining me again. Back with another video. Uh, Decided to do something in relation to helping with the walkthroughs. When you go through your walkthroughs, there's key things that you should check, and one of the things is the air conditioning. And the reason I wanted to discuss this is because it's not a standard thing for every unit to be the same. And just to be clear, this is what I'm talking about when I say HVAC. Is this unit outside your air conditioning unit? Don't want to assume anything, so I'm going to say what I'm referring to. Um, so, but when you go and you check that, we want to see what year it is, what year the unit is. These units have a lifespan, and we just want to, check and see what the age of the unit is to ensure that we have something that we may not need to replace or may need to replace. So we want to check the age of the unit to ensure that it's a viable unit and won't be breaking down in a year or so, because we probably want to replace that. But in any scenario, you may need to get it serviced if it's older, to ensure that it functions well, because it'll be checked by your inspector. For your buyer's inspector will check, all these systems and all the components as well. So, but yeah, during your walkthrough, it's just something you need to check, and we just want to go through. And one thing that I want to indicate is that you're going to have a lot of different brands, and I've just put some here, some different data labels from HVAC systems. You can see that they're similar in some regard, and some are different. So let's take this one for example. Let's say you check the side of this HVAC unit right here, and then you see this, and like you need to know how old it is. To determine the age. Okay, we're looking on here. If we just look at the label, no, don't see what year it was made on here. And that's the whole point of this video. It could be 50-50. Some will have it obvious as such. Manufacture date. See, this particular one, American Standard, gives you a manufacture date. Train, the brand Train, they give you a manufacture date. But as we see, Lennox, uh, Carrier, a lot of them don't. A lot of them don't give you that date. So it's up to you to determine those dates, and it's going to determine by brand a lot of times what that is. So, for example, on this one here, typically the serial number is going to tell you when it was made. That's typically what's going to be your key indicator. Key indicator is usually that serial number. And the order, can vary from, it's typically the first four digits is going to be your indicator, first four digits. And as you can see here, typically, well, I won't say typically, in the situation of American Standard, you can see the year's 22. There's the year right there and the serial number. And then this is typically the week. So you typically get the week and the year in these serial numbers. So same thing here. Manufacturing 22 and serial number 22, 17th week of 2022. The 17th week this was made. So, but when you got other brands, it can be reversed. Whereas the weeks first and then the year. Like for example, this Linux was made in the 19th week of 2024. This is a pretty new unit, not that old. This Carrier here, serial number here, the 23rd week of 2003, and we can tell by looking at the labels it's older, definitely an older unit. Uh, but yeah, you can look at this faded, and that's another thing that I'm going to talk about in just a second. But yeah, and it's faded. So this one's been around a while. Not exactly sure when this was taken, uh, but it's pretty old if we're basing it off today's time. And then this one here, 19th week of 2013. Okay? So just want you to understand that if it doesn't have a specific manufacture date listed, you can go to the serial number, and typically the first two letters will be the week that it was manufactured, the 19th week of 2024, and then the year will be the third and fourth digit. Okay, so that'll give you that clue when you're checking the units, so you'll know how old that unit is and help you make a determination. If you need to do something to it, or even replace it. If there's an issue or is aged out where there could be problems. And now I want to go to a quick discussion on dealing with. Okay, all right. Look at this. This is a label here. This is a data label that was on HVAC. Clearly, it's faded in time, and it's nearly impossible uh, to read the numbers on there. Now, I've never had to do this, but I've been told it works and I've seen it work. What you can typically do in this scenario is like take like a Sharpie and rub a circle on like your thumb, maybe. Just draw a circle, fill in a circle on your thumb and rub it over the label. And a lot of times it'll highlight the numbers and the information there. Just smear it right across. Write it on your thumb and smear it across. And it'll typically highlight it enough where you can see that serial number or model number and determine the age that way. When you get labels that are like really worn like this, just smear some people will rub a pencil and then smear their thumb across a pencil. They'll go back and forth with a pencil over it and then smear their thumb. And a lot of times it'll highlight or bring out the numbers or letters that are there. So that's a little trick that you can try. Um, if you get labels like this, and you will get these. I've seen these uh, before, and I did not know how to decipher it at that time, but I have seen them before. But yeah, that's a trick. Use a Sharpie or even a pencil and rub a pencil across it, and then smear with your finger, or put just draw a circle on your thumb with a Sharpie, and then smear that across the label, and it'll a lot of times highlight the numbers enough to see. And you typically only need the serial number because you're just trying to check the year. Uh, you know, the model number is used a lot for the tonnage to determine the amount, the capacity that the unit will produce. So not as important at this time. Typically the unit that's there is going to be efficient enough for that particular house. Whoever installed it prior will have a unit that's large enough. Now, if you're adding square footage, then that may become an issue where it may not be a large enough unit, and you may need more tonnage to cool it. But yeah, typically, whatever's there is sufficient. You don't need to really check the tonnage, which would be under the model number, and it's going to follow along the same guidelines. Is going to be within the number, and it's going to vary as well within the number. I can't tell you a standard where it's at because in multiple places, like the tonnage here is 36 right there. So, it's not going to be the same everywhere. This one's 42. So it's going to vary from unit to unit. It's not always in the same spot, but it's in the model number. Okay, now next, I just want to just so you're aware of it. It's typically going to follow along the same guidelines. This is a mini split. I don't know if you've heard that term. Mini split. Instead of using these larger HVAC units, you may have just a small, 900 square foot apartment. And you don't need a HVAC unit like this. So you may do a mini split. And a mini split, depending on the BTUs of the unit, 12,000 BTUs, like 12,000 BTUs of cool approximately 900 square feet. So you would need, if your apartment is 900 square feet, you could have a 900 square foot, 12,000 BTU mini split, and it'll cool that entire place, you know? I just want to make you aware of the mini splits, and they're going to follow along the same guidelines. They're going to have serial numbers, and then depending on the brand, it's going to follow along the same guidelines. The week, year. set up, and just to let you know that. And typically the BTUs will be within the model number. Right here, here's a breakdown of the model number for mini split. This is a LG, but yeah, that 12 is indicating 12,000 BTU, so that would cool approximately 900 square foot apartment. So, and then the higher the BTUs, the more it cools. So, 18,000 BTUs would probably cool probably about 1,100 square feet roughly. So it just depends on the BT, higher the BTUs, the more it cools. And some people use multiple, mini splits in various parts of the house. Instead of having a central HVAC unit, they'll use multiple mini splits throughout the property. So, but yeah, the whole intent of this video was just basically to help you when you do your walkthrough to determine the age of the HVAC. And like I said, if it's not blatantly listed like this, which is great, it makes it a lot easier. Then you can just go to the serial number, and it's typically going to be a week format in the first two digits, and the year in the third and fourth digit in the serial number. Okay, so hopefully this has been helpful for you, and will assist you when you're out there doing your walkthroughs. You'll be able to at least understand the age of that HVAC. And they typically last a residential HVAC system. I guess I should say that a typical HVAC system like this, residential, will probably last 15 to 20 years, somewhere in that range. So if it's in that range there, it's getting towards the end of the life. It's like, say, year 18. But if you're flipping the house, I mean, I really wouldn't do anything to it. If it's running efficiently, I wouldn't do anything uh, unless it has an issue. But yeah, 15 to 20 years, and mini splits. I believe it. Mini splits can vary, but they don't last as long typically. Maybe 10 to 15 years for mini splits that they have a lifespan of. So if you're in that window, you're getting towards the end. But if you're flipping and it's working so efficiently, I wouldn't do anything with it. But just to make you aware, 10 to 15 years residential lifespan, 15 to 20 years for a traditional HVAC system. Yeah. Again, thank you for watching, and hopefully this has been helpful. I'd love to hear your feedback. Um, Thank you for watching. Until next time. All right. Bye bye.